Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. No Souls here, and today I'm going to be doing my best at the beginner's tips video. Something kind of similar to my beginner tutorial that I made for it, but hopefully not an hour long. And it's going to mostly focus on Escape from Tarkov. Escape from Tarkov Arena isn't out yet, and the very first one that I would recommend for beginners is setting your regions to whatever has the best ping. Uh, the auto selection generally does a good job, but you can see even inside of like USA, there's a bit of a discrepancy going down from very low double digits to moderately high. And then you're going to want to start the game, load up, and my guess is that if you're looking for beginners tips, you might have only like a dozen raids under your belt. So I'm not really going to be talking too much about the in-raid things that you can be doing, because when you're in raid, it's very particular to A, how you're playing, and B, what your objectives are. So I'm going to talk about how you should be deciding your objectives and what are going to be the ways to progress through the game, because really it's a Venn diagram kind of how you play Escape from Tarkov. On one side you have your hideout, on another side you have your traders. You're trying to level both of these up while also trying to level up your individual character, and that affects how your raid goes on the very top. Just real quick, talking about things that can have. You have your messages, which is where you will be getting your quest items that you need, your insurance, your money from the flea market, and talking to the individual traders. You have a handbook. This is very important. It can tell you what sits inside of each category. So if it's saying, hey, you have a task, you need to kill people with assault carbines, come into here, you can see everything that's an assault carbine. Oh, hey, I need to know what are my barter items, electronics. What electronics could I find in a raid to go and complete? Well, here you go. You have all the electronics you've ever found, so you can get a little bit more information there. There are presets, so that way you can go and get quicker setups. I think I have one that I can show for my shotguns right here. I have the home wrecker, as I like to call it. It's just a little shotgun, has enough stopping power to do the job and not enough recoil to really, ruin my run. So, something that can help you speed up time. And then once you hit 15, there's been talking of lowering and raising it. You can get yourself the flea market, which will help you buy and sell goods to other players. So this is something that's really good to have. Just note, you're not going to start off with 3 because I've sold so much. My flea market rep has gone up to 8.34. So you're going to start off at 0, and if you sell things, it's going to go up, and if you fail to sell things or you cancel things you're selling, it's going to go down. There's certain dollar amounts you want to focus, but generally it's a simple rule of thumb. The bigger you sell, the more you get. Now, as I said, the Venn diagram of raid, hideout, traders for progression. Traders is on the right side, and you have 8 of them in total, 2 rows of 4. On the left, you have the guy that specializes in your ammos for the most part, also sells you some general guns. Therapist, who specializes in your medical. You have Fence, who is kind of mix of all. He'll buy everything, and you never know what exactly he's going to have to sell. Skier has kind of a hodgepodge of a lot of things. He has, well, I'll just briefly step into him. Right out the gate, he's going to have a lot of attachments, but he won't have anything particular interesting to himself per se. Peacekeeper is going to be your US-UN weapons and equipment, so your like 8R, your M16s, your P90, those kind of weapons. You're going to find that with Peacekeeper. Mechanic, he's going to be mostly centered around getting you not only just attachments, but he's also going to be the one that's going to be able to get you suppressors and some decent guns right out the gate. And you can see here I'm always clicking on 1. This is just as you rank up. As you notice, he's at level 3 right now. He has more things unlocked. I'm assuming you're probably not going to be Edge of Darkness when you just start out. You're going to be the base level. So you're going to start at level 1 with all of these traders and have the level 1 gear and equipment. Ragman, he's going to have all your armors and backpacks, but we'll talk more about him a little bit later because he's quite important and a little unique. And then Jaeger, who has kind of like your hunting-esque equipment. He has also quite a few ammos, but you're not going to have him unlocked at the start. We're not going to worry about how you unlock him. That's more of a later question. These people all have, and as you can see here on these check marks, tasks. So you can see right now I'm working on Punisher Part 6. You have to go and kill bears in USEC, and you're going to say, but Souls, what is a bear and a USEC? Pretty much when you start the game, you get that choice between picking one of two factions. Bears are Russian PMCs that are sent in the area to figure out what's going on. USEC were people that were a protection agency in the area trying to hide what happened. Very simple, but that's more or less what it is. They both have dog tags, and as you can see here, collecting their dog tags individually you can turn in for the quest. So, and then you're going to say, wait, you have one that you've never seen before. That is correct. I have not actually seen this. So, go up real quickly, click accept, and you can see here I have to kill, looks like, yeah, it's just about every single boss scav in the game. At least once. Fun. That's going to be chump change and easy cakes. We're going to go through stash as well in a minute here, but first things first, I want to go over to the hideout. Now, the hideout you're going to start out with is going to be mostly empty, like just right out the gate. You're going to have nothing. You're going to have to build security, you're going to have to build in your water, you're going to have to build in your food. Everything that you're going to want to use, you're going to have to build in. You can also drop into it if you want to physically look at it, but it's generally quicker just to back out and do it through this individual menu on the bottom. And I'm just going to quickly show you, this is how you gather things, and then you're going to see here, generator. Later on, you can go and get these fuel generators. Fortunately, looks like it's out. We'll handle that in a minute here, but I have more things. The green shows that you can go and craft or retrieve stuff. So, there we go. And I have Bitcoin. Perfect. So, there we go. Now, I want to be able to actually do things in my hideout, like crafting, or start up my water collector. Water collector doesn't have what it needs, so what am I going to need from it? Well, the beauty of it, once you have the flea market unlocked, is you can look up water filter right there, and you can just go buy that. So, I can buy that. Now, I also need, other than just a water filter, I need fuel. The metal fuel tank and the expeditionary fuel tank are your two choices. There's arguments of pros and cons between them. You can use them in crafts. Depending on what you're wanting to do, some are better than others. But for my use case here, just showing everything, I'm going to go by myself. And you can see here, Jaeger, the trader, is showing up. You can set filters in here that can pretty much force you to see only certain currencies. There's 3 currencies in the game: rubles, US dollars, and the euro. I'd rather see everything in rubles. Knowing that's the thing, though, you do sometimes need to turn it off if you're wanting to look at certain items, because the cheapest offer might be in dollars or something like that. But then you could also remove barters and other things like that. Anyways, I digress. I bought it from Jaeger just really quick instead. I could have just gone straight into Jaeger this way and scrolled down and bought it this way, and you can see here I've already bought out the maximum of this item, but I decided against it. So, now, lightning raid here. Except we're not actually going into a raid. Just click. There we go. See? Starting up your entire place is just that simple. Now I'm going to turn on the lights. So now you can see everything's turned on. Booze generator, I need super water. I could go buy it, or I could simply come over here to my water collector, and you can see if I go and put in this water filter, I have 8 minutes till I actually produce the super water that's necessary to go make moonshine. Now, what about the rest of these things? Well, your workbench, as you can see, has a lot of ammo, guns, kind of strange barter items. You can make some kind of rare items, but generally speaking, people are going to say, hey, you're going to want to make these for very expensive crafts that you can sell. That's true, but also sometimes it might just be easier to focus on getting yourself ammo that's very high tier that you can't get, especially when you're starting out. It can be extremely difficult to unlock things like Magnum Buckshot. They're good alternatives at lower ranks, but Magnum Buckshot is one of the highest flesh damage shotgun rounds in the game. Personally, I really like SNB. Can't go and get SMB, but I can go and buy myself 20 rounds of LPS. Whoops, correction. I need actually 40 rounds of it, so let's just get myself these. There we go. And you can see here it's going to take one of these red gunpowders called Hawk. It's going to use this. This symbol right here on the bottom right means it's reusable. It's not going to be consumed. So it's going to consume these two, produce 40 of a better round SNB that I want, and I will get the multi-tool back. So there you go. That's how you craft in it. Going through, you're going to have to level things up. Some of these things are reliant on other things getting leveled, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. I wouldn't recommend focusing on scav case unless you're really far in. It's kind of gambling. It's not bad. It's just not necessary. Nutrition unit is useful because you can see here it has a lot of buffs to your energy recovery, your health recovery, and your hydration. You want to do craft, right here again, you can see it. Sugars, which as you noticed going into the moonshine, sugar is part of it as well. So I really like crafting moonshine. Personally, I find it a pretty high value. You could just put it into your scav case and maybe you'll get lucky and have a great return on investment. Maybe you won't. Who knows? But then you have your med station, which has a massive boost to your healing. SJ6s are something that you use for running long time quickly. You need a lot of different items. This is a barter item. So if I didn't know what exactly the Olo multivitamins are, I could come over here and look at it. So you can see barter item, medical supply. So this, as you can kind of guess, is where you're going to get your stims, where you're going to get your meds, and you can just quickly right click and look into it. Library is something you're going to actually, even though it doesn't craft anything, it's actually very useful, especially when you kind of get a chance to unlock it later on. It boosts your experience, and by the time you get this, it's going to take a lot of experience to actually level up. So this is pretty useful as well. Lavatory is where you build a lot of your cases. You can consume a lot of your barter items if you're wanting to look for something in particular, and you often have quests that need these items. So just keeping your eye in here and like remembering, oh yeah, I don't want to actually go make a water filter. I can just craft it here. Or, oh yeah, I know that my quest daily requires 3 of this gun mag found in raid. Well, if I craft it, it's going to be found in raid. So I can just buy myself 4 of these AK mags that are really cheap, find myself a Keck tape on a random location, like interchange, and craft these found in raid mags. Instead of trying to go to higher difficulty areas, I can be assured that in 1 hour, as long as the power's on, I will have the mag that I'm looking for. Illumination, heat, it's really important for removing your negative effects. Also gives you a little bit of energy, but the real big thing is that heating just helps you get rid of your bleeds and other status effects. We'll talk about status effects a bit later. You're going to have a hole in your base at some point. You're going to need a sledgehammer to break the hole, but then once you do, you can actually go and remove the negative effects that hole makes, and actually give yourself a gym, which will allow you to go and train strength and endurance. Boost generator, these things, I'll show you how much they sell for in a bit. Air filter, it's actually a really good thing to have. The problem is the air filters are A, really big, so they're hard to get out of raid, B, heavy, and C, super expensive. So if you want to buy them on the flea market, they're generally pretty expensive, so you're going to want to run a lot of raids whenever you go and slot one in. Alternatively, you find one in raid so you don't have to pay the money for it, but it's so big that often you can find a lot of smaller items that will actually be worth more. So it's kind of like a situational. Weapons rack, see here, see all the guns you have stored up, what you're rocking, look through stash. It's just a nice little way to show off what you got inside your stash. Int center, here I'm going to show you actually how you can upgrade something, and you can see here it calls out all the requirements as far as items you have. It's going to generally have a trader that you have to have up to a certain rank, and then it also up here might say, hey, you have to have weapons bench and like Bitcoin farm or intelligence center or something like that to a certain level to be able to get it up one more. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3 generally is the breakdown. Finally, you're going to want to have fuel, because as long as you have fuel going on, you have your Bitcoin farm, you're generally going to at least turn a profit. The higher level Bitcoin farms, the more profit you have. Some people argue that it's not worth it once you get higher up, but unless you're able to, like, you know, consistently play and do raids and stuff like that, yeah, sure, fine. Maybe you don't need to run the fuel and stuff like that to go get the extra money from a Bitcoin, but if you're intermittent playing like most people, having these passive sources of income like booze and bitcoins can be lifesavers. Getting a solar power generator also is really good, but it's quite difficult, and this uses euros, which is perhaps the least common currency in Tarkov at the moment. So it can be quite difficult to get enough euros to be able to do this craft. Not to mention it has some very expensive things like these phase array elements or acers. Okay, so now we've gone at a very high level of all this. Let's go and see passive income and kind of explain out what on earth you're going to want to think about here. So you have generally 3 things that you're going to get if you're getting up in the ranks. You're going to have your Bitcoin generator producing your Bitcoins. You're going to be able to convert your fuel either into grenade cases or mag cases, and you can sell those on the flea market. And then you have moonshine, which you have options to go and either put it into your scav case if you want, or sell it on the flea market as well. Personally, I always err to sell it on the flea market, just so that way I have pure profit instead of gambling it, but I don't really need to. If you look here, you can see I have 9 million ruples, almost 9.5 million ruples. I really don't need to keep selling these things and making so much profit, but I'd rather do so. These are your euros, and these are your dollars. So, let's go look here. And you can see here, your Fierce Moonshine is going to sell. And of course, these do swing a good bit, depending on where you are in wipe. But Moonshine generally is going to be your most expensive, like quick item that you can produce out. You're going to get maybe 2 or 3 Moonshines before you get a grenade case. So it's more valuable to actually just constantly pump out the Moonshine. The fuel cases, they're going to take a little bit longer. So 319, there we go. And you can see right here, there's that. So, I've done that. And generally speaking, Therapist is going to be the best person to sell to for the Bitcoin. You can look at the other people, like, see, 300, 500, 400, 2,000, almost $3,000. Nothing. 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 And that's something that's very important to know. Each one of these traders are better or worse for buying or selling specific things. So you're going to want to go and compare multiple different traders for specific types of items. Normally, like Ragman is who you sell your armors to. Jaeger will like buy your knives for the highest profit. Mechanic will take just about everything with guns for the highest cost. Peacekeeper will take like your journals and other like intel items for a lot of dollars. Skier, he's kind of an all-arounder. He's never the highest, but it's generally a decent offer. Um, and you have to level him up if you want to be able to get up in the hideout. He's just important. Therapist, she's like a lot of your like valuables you can sell to her for a pretty good penny. Proper is kind of similar to Skier in my opinion. There's probably a specific case, maybe he's good for grenades, but I often use my grenades. So that's something that I would just generally point out. And then you can see here, gotten all my money. Let's see right here. So you can see he just called out my individual thing. Now, something else I'm going to bring to mention. This is where all your friends are going to be sitting. However, you can't add them there. You have to go and find them here and then add them through this. So don't get confused if you're trying to get people in here and you can't. Now you can go and click on someone and click invite and you can see if they're offline and whatnot. But that is a quick way to just go get through everything if you're just trying to build a team. There's also a couple more things I guess I could quickly point out. You have your health, you have your basic bleeds, you have your painkillers to deal with pain, so if you have broken or blacked out limbs, another type of painkiller. There's dozens of types. You have all your different stims. Let's come over here. This is your biggest med, and you can always go into them and inspect and see exactly what it is they do. If you ever find something that's grayed out and you don't know what it is, let's see if I can actually find something really quick. It's pretty rare now. But if you actually do find something that is unknown, you can center mouse wheel over it and find it. It often is a frustration when you find a gun that you've never seen before. If you want to be able to reload it, you have to make sure to inspect the actual magazine of the gun, otherwise you can't interact with it. So simply because you went into, like, let's say a tactical rig and you inspected all the mags inside the tactical rig doesn't necessarily mean that you found that mag that's actually inside the gun. Make sure that the tactical rig you pick up from whatever the scav or person that was carrying it, that those mags are the same, and if they're not, you at least know what they are, so that way you're able to interact with it. I think that covers just about everything in a nutshell. I managed to do it in about 20 minutes. That's perhaps the fastest recommendations that I can give. I guess I can go into the settings a little bit here and kind of talk through things. Malfunction notifications can be helpful if you're trying to get people to be able to help you. I hate head bob, so I turned it off. FOV really just affects how fast you feel in raid. Also can help peek around corners better, so I have it a little bit on the lower side. I have both of those checked. Graphics, generally speaking, doesn't really affect too much, and there's not too many reasons to be running them on high quality, so you're better off just running with like really high performance and then going and trying to get that let's see here, your line of depth quality and your overall visibility. Whatever you have to do to get this to be as far as possible with minimal hiccups can be a huge lifesaver or help you do ambushes on people. Sure, you might be able to hear someone around the other side of the wall, but the reality is if you're on the big maps like woods, this is going to be how you're going to spot someone in a bush trying to get the drop on you from like 200 meters away. So the further out you can get this, play around with these settings, drop them as low as necessary, and then just slowly bounce them up until you get really good frame rates, no hitching, and you're able to keep this maxed out. Really is useful. Post FX, there are use cases for this. It can help you see in the darker maps if you're like having a darkness issue with your screen. Messing with this can actually improve the visibility on those night maps. But generally speaking, you don't have to do that. Laptops tend to be the ones that are particularly running into this issue, but I've heard people on PC also having it. Something else to notice is you don't actually want to have everything fully maxed out. For some reason, like Escape from Tarkov has this weird thing where if you max it out all the way, it won't always give you the best clarity. So you're going to want to max out your actual like sound inside of the PC and then keep this mostly maxed out. Don't ask me why, and not everyone has this happen, but I've had it where it's been clearer and worse through the patches. So whenever they go and mess with the audio, you might need to go mess with this. Also, key bindings, there's a lot of them. Not all of them make sense for what your playstyle is or how you exactly use things. So, depending on what you like to use more or less, you're probably going to want to rebind things. Like, I have a mouse with buttons on the side of it. It's Naga, so I have every single number on the side of my mouse. So, I put my push to talk to be 0 because it's real easy to press. And then there's another one, which is, in my opinion, let's go here. Where is my O? Check times is nice. It's quick. You see how much time you have left in the map. But why on earth would you do that when you can just simply check both the time and your exits? It sucks the way that they go and they have like a second between the animation to do both. If they could just pop both of them up instantly and then fade them away, that would be so much better, but you don't have that option in the controls. So you're just better off being able to do both simultaneously instead of having it be a double click and, just having to constantly spam it. But yeah, that is, I think, everything. There's phrases and stuff you can do for like hand signals and talking to people, but there's VoIP in game. Turn it on, go interact with people. You'll be surprised what on earth you'll experience. There's also one final thing I think I should mention. You have these quests. They give you a fixed amount of experience with your traders, so they can help you level up. However, there's also a second type of quest. Actually, right here. And you can see I'm getting good ammo from this. Grenades, a decent amount of ruples, but I'm also getting experience with proper. If you're needing to go and level up a trader quickly, turning in these quests can be light in getting you up into someone's good graces, so that way you don't have to deal with their stupid frickin' quest line in some cases, like having to go to interchange over and over and over again and getting dumpstered by a 5-man. It can happen. It's a great game, but solo players are in a very difficult position when you just, no fault of anyone's, you just run into a 5-man, you're going to have a very hard time surviving or even escaping it. You can win it, but if you're starting out, it's not very likely. So, yeah. Also, something to note. Quests unlock attachments. Some of these attachments are quite useful, like Golden Swag. I should have done this one forever ago, and I just keep holding off on it. And, this is one of the earliest missions you get for Skier. I've gotten him all the way up to level 3 without completing Golden Swag because I do these side quests. I am 4 levels away and almost to max rep with him for getting to level 4. It's extremely useful. Just do it. Save a couple things on the side. Focus on getting yourself a scav junk box so that way you're able to go and store all the random things you can need. And yeah, just sell things as necessary and then move on. If you're getting 6 of them, sell 4 of them to the flea market, save 2 for a quest if you get it, turn it in, and get the rep up. It's just that simple. But anyways, thank you all for listening to me ramble. This is Mr. No Souls here, and I look forward to hearing from you all later.